I have been having sex with a lot of people, some old, some new, but definitely a lot more than what I'm used to. Let me explain. I've been introduced to a different definition of sex from the Conversations with God book 3 out of the trilogy. And there's three examples I'd like to use and perspectives that you've probably forgotten. So on one side of the spectrum, for most people, you're probably thinking about physical sex, such as the American playboy Hugh Hefner. I must admit I have a guilty pleasure of watching documentaries about famous and infamous people from the past 100 years and how their creative expression has influenced and shifted culture. So I recently binged this 2017 political drama television series on Amazon Prime, and it covers the launch of Playboy magazine, as well as the next 6 decades of Hugh Hefner's personal life and career. A few things probably most people wouldn't know, especially if you're Gen X and younger, is that he used his platform, Playboy magazine, to fight and defend civil rights, freedom of speech, and sexual freedom, such as declaring that sex is a good thing, especially during a traditional and taboo time. He would feature articles that contributed to the reversal of the death penalty, contraception and abortion accessibility, along with Roe versus Wade, while also still having fun and enjoying themselves, as you can see with all of their ventures and infamous ways that they celebrated and partied. On the other side of the spectrum, you can look at writings like Pleasure Activism by Adrienne Marie Brown, where she asks and answers, how do we make social justice the most pleasurable human experience? There's an article I'd like to read over with you from the Boston Review on this book. Pleasure activism is the work we do to reclaim our whole, satisfiable selves from the impacts of oppression and supremacy. Pleasure activism asserts that we all need and deserve pleasure, and that our social structures must reflect this. In this moment, we must prioritize the pleasure of those most impacted by oppression. Pleasure activists seek to understand and learn from the politics and power dynamics of everything that makes us feel good. This includes sex and the erotic, drugs, fashion, humor, passion, work, connection, reading, cooking and eating, music and other arts, and so much more. Pleasure activism acts from an analysis that pleasure is a natural, safe, and liberated part of life, and that we can offer each other tools and education to make sure sex, desire, drugs, connection, and other pleasures aren't life-threatening or harming, but rather life-enriching. Pleasure activists believe that by tapping into the potential goodness in each of us, we can generate justice and liberation, growing a healing abundance where we have been socialized to believe only scarcity exists. Ultimately, pleasure activism is us learning to make justice and liberation the most pleasurable experiences we can have on this planet. So I'll go ahead and share that link below so you can further read that article. But whether you see it or not, from both sides of the spectrum, both of these people are sharing and expressing what it's like to enjoy sex and, more importantly, pleasure in all the ways that is available to us. And the last connection I'd like to share with you all is the one from the Conversations with God and how I've adopted the redefinition of what sex is. And so just to give you some context, I'd actually like to read a couple pages before that talk about the pleasure principle, the karmic wheel, and a different perspective on it. And at the end of this video, for those of you who are feeling some guilt and shame around the topic of sex, a different perspective worth considering, according to this book. So again, this is from Conversations with God, Book 3, Embracing the Love of the Universe. This is a conversation, so there's the author and source speaking. And this is source right here. Well, you've just touched on the secret reason for all of physical life. It is life in the physical which has so mesmerized you, and rightly so, because it is, after all, an extraordinary adventure. What we use here to help us forget is what some of you would call the pleasure principle. The highest nature of all pleasure is that the aspect of pleasure which causes you to create who you really are in your experience right here, right now, and to recreate and to recreate and to recreate again who you are at the next highest level of magnificence. That is the highest pleasure of God. The lower nature of all pleasure is that part of pleasure which causes you to forget who you really are. Do not condemn the lower nature, for without it, you cannot experience the higher. This is the author. It's almost as if the pleasure of the flesh at first causes us to forget who we are, then become the very avenue through which we remember. Source. There you have it. You've just said it. And the use of physical pleasure as an avenue to remembering who you are is achieved by raising up through the body the basic energy of all life. This is the energy which you sometimes call sexual energy, and it is raised up along the inner column of your being until it reaches the area you call the third eye. This is the area just behind the forehead, between and slightly above the eyes. As you raise the energy, you cause it to course all through your body. It is like an inner orgasm. How is this done? How do you do that? You think it up. I mean that. Just as I said it, you literally think it up. The inner pathway of what you have called your chakras. Once the life energy is raised up repeatedly, one acquires a taste for this experience, just as one acquires a hunger for sex. The experience of the energy being raised is very sublime. It quickly becomes the experience most desired. Yet, you never completely lose your hunger for the lowering of the energy, for the basic passions, nor ought you try. For the higher cannot exist without the lower in your experience, as I have pointed out to you many times. Once you get to the higher, you must go back to the lower in order to experience again the pleasure of moving to the higher. So, yin and yang, right? And even what I shared with you a few videos ago with Lauryn Hill, talking about the hills and the valleys. Once you get higher, you must go back to lower in order to experience again the pleasure of moving to the higher. This is the sacred rhythm of life. You do this not only by moving the energy around inside your body, you also do this by moving around the larger energy inside the body of God. You incarnate as lower forms, then evolve into higher states of consciousness. You are simply raising the energy in the body of God. You are that energy. And when you arrive at the highest state, you experience it fully. Then you decide what you next choose to experience, and where in the realm of relativity you choose to go in order to experience it. You may wish to again experience yourself becoming your self, your higher self. It is a grand experience indeed, and so you may start all over again on the cosmic wheel. Wait, is this the same as the karmic wheel? No, there is no such thing as a karmic wheel, not the way you have imagined it at least. Many of you have imagined that you are on not a wheel, but a treadmill, in which you are working off the debts of past actions and trying valiantly not to incur any new ones. This is what some of you have called the karmic wheel. It is not so different from a form of your Western theologies, for in both paradigms, you are seen as an unworthy sinner, seeking to gain the purity to move on to the next spiritual level. The experience which I have described here, on the other hand, I'm calling the cosmic wheel, because there is nothing of unworthiness, debt repayment, punishment, or purification. The cosmic wheel simply describes the ultimate reality, or what you might call the cosmology of the universe. It is the cycle of life, of what I sometimes term the process. It is a picture phrase describing the no beginning and no end nature of things, the continually connected path to and from all of everything, on which the soul joyfully journeys throughout eternity. It is the sacred rhythm of all life, by which you move the energy of God. Wow, I've never had that all explained to me so simply. I don't think I've ever understood all this so clearly. Well, clarity is what you brought yourself here to experience. That was the purpose of this dialogue, so I'm glad you are achieving that. In truth, there is no lower and higher place on the cosmic wheel. How can there be? It's a wheel, not a ladder. That is excellent. That is an excellent imagery and an excellent understanding. Therefore, condemn not that which you call the lower, basic animal instincts of man, yet bless them, honoring them as a path through which and by which you find your way back home. This would relieve a lot of people of a lot of guilt around sex. It is why I have said, play, play, and play with sex and with all of life. Mix what you call the sacred with the sacrilegious. For until you see your altars as the ultimate place for love and your bedrooms as the ultimate place for worship, you see nothing at all. You think sex is separate from God? I tell you this, I am in your bedroom every night. So go ahead, mix what you call the profane and the profound, so that you can see there is no difference and experience all as one. Then when you continue to evolve, you will not see yourself as letting go of sex, but simply enjoying it at a higher level. And here's the redefinition. For all of life is sex, synergistic energy exchange. And if you understand this about sex, you will understand this about everything in life, even the end of life, what you call death. At the moment of your death, you will not see yourself as letting go of life, but simply enjoying it at a higher level. When at last you see that there's no separation in God's world, that is, nothing which is not God, then at last you will let go of this invention of a man which you have called Satan. If Satan exists, he exists as every thought you ever had of separation from me. You cannot be separate from me, for I am all that is. Men invented the devil to scare people into doing what they wanted, under the threat of separation from God if they did not. Condemnation, being hurled into the everlasting fires of hell, was the ultimate scare tactic. Yet now you need be afraid no more, for nothing can or ever will separate you from me. You and I are one. We cannot be anything else if I am what I am, all that is. Why then would I condemn myself? And how would I do it? How would I separate myself from myself when myself is all there is and there is nothing else? My purpose is to evolve, not to condemn, to grow, not to die, to experience, not to fail to experience. My purpose is to be, not cease to be. I have no way to separate myself from you or anything else. Hell is simply not knowing this. Salvation is knowing and understanding it completely. You are now saved. You needn't worry about what's going to happen to you after death anymore. Whew. I know that's a lot to take in, so feel free to pause and rewind this video to listen to it more slowly, even at 0.5 speed, if it's something that you need to hear again, and to choose if it's something that resonates with you. Again, recognizing I'm not sitting here as someone who says they know it all. This is just from my own research, my own findings, my own observations, and what currently speaks true to me right now. And so this video is just acting as a signpost towards what speaks true to you right now. So again, sex, a synergistic energy exchange. For a long time, people were so concerned about opening your legs. But what about what you're opening your eyes, your mind, your heart, and your spirit to? Let's be honest, we all know that we're currently fucked. And because we've been getting fucked by the churches, politics, the educational system, and so on. But what about the ways we've been fucking ourselves and letting others fuck us? Such as, what kinds of people have we been having sex with? What kinds of food are we having sex with? What kinds of entertainment are we having sex with? What kinds of books are we having sex with? What kinds of music are we having sex with? What kinds of conversations are you having sex with? What other people, places, and things have you been having a synergistic energy exchange with? And more importantly, how have you been having sex with yourself? I say this because, as we talked about yesterday, the importance of habits and routines is what's going to save us in certain seasons. And so, one of those routines and rules that I've established is that I cannot have sex with what the day has to offer before I can take care of myself. Call it masturbation, if you will. So, what my current morning routine looks like is 1, a full night's rest, 2, waking up with no phone and allowing my thoughts to wander, 3, going onto the balcony and circulating old stagnant air out of my body and replacing it with new fresh air. 4, mobility, stretching, and exercises. 5, meditation and prayer. And to top it all off with a cup of coffee. This is the bare minimum of how I like to please myself. My partner, they like to get flowers and cook an unrushed meal. So keep in mind who, what, when, and why you're having sex. And recognize that it's not supposed to be all good or bad, or all higher and all lower. Each is important and necessary to enjoy and appreciate the other, the yin yang. But know that if you're still watching this, you have a lot more choices in this life and moment than you think you do, especially if you have access and to have landed on this video and the time you've spent to have gotten this far into it. So whoever, whatever, whenever, and wherever you're having sex, I hope that you experience pleasure, satisfaction, and joy in it, like I have in making this video. So thank you for letting me have sex with you. Thanks for this synergistic energy exchange. I hope that there is at least one thing in this video that was useful to you. And I'd love to hear in the comments below about how you added your own spin to it. Again, reject the rest if it doesn't speak true to you, and continue on your own research and come up with your own findings of what will work for you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now. So you still want to have sex, eh? Okay, enough of that. I'm laughing because I never thought I'd make a video like this, but enough of that. But for real, if you want to participate in a synergistic energy exchange beyond this video, check out the link below and how we can connect, collaborate, and work with each other in the future.